Some mountains in men are bigger than you think. Some rivers so fast, hell, you can't take a drink. Some burdens so heavy.
Hey folks, Great Northern Prepper here. Today I want to talk about loading up a bucket. Now I put out the video of how to take off the gamma seal from a bucket after it breaks, and now I'm actually just got done cleaning it out. I bleached it, or I wiped it out, I cleaned it out, I bleached it, rinsed it out, let it dry very thoroughly. So now we're actually going to load it back up with what was in it originally, which was chickpeas, kind of a soup base mix, and vegetable flakes, dehydrated vegetable pieces. But just want to mention chickpeas, as long as I'm loading them up, they're a really, really good overall thing to have in there. They're also known as garbanzo beans, and I've always called them chickpeas. So, but in 1 tablespoon, you've got 46 calories. You've almost got a whole gram of fat. You've got 3 milligrams of sodium. You've got 109 milligrams of potassium. You've got 8 grams of carbohydrates, 2.2 of which are dietary fiber. And it's also got 2.5 grams of protein. So it's a good overall food. And it's a good thing to have, especially to augment your protein intake, because when things get bad, you know, even in rural areas, game is going to get more scarce. It's going to be harder to find game unless you're raising your own and everything like that, which not everybody can do. But overall, it's a good thing. And plus, you're going to be doing a lot more stuff. You're going to be needing a lot more protein to supplement. Unless you're already living a fully homestead lifestyle, most of us are going to be, you know, most of us kind of do this, the homesteading thing, partly, you know, even if you live in the suburbs, you can still do homesteading type things as far as garden cultivation and livestock and jams and jellies and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of us will be doing a lot of, you know, it full time for the first time. So it's a good thing to have extra protein. So why don't we get all this stuff in there? Okay, so I've poured the chickpeas in there, and once you kind of get them in there, I like to shake them around a little bit, kind of get them to settle, take up a little bit more of the space that's in there. And then what I'll be doing is, I've got my soup base mix, kind of a chicken broth. I've also got some dehydrated vegetable flakes. I'll get a little chickpea in there actually. And this is just kind of, it's got carrots and all their kind of vegetable stuff in there, and just kind of set it in there so when I take it all out, I can make kind of a chicken broth with chickpea, and you know, I can mix the rice and other stuff that I break out, but in a lot of my buckets I've already got soup mix already ready. So the next thing you're going to do is, let me grab it, is you're going to be grabbing, I just use a little hand warmer. Now some people use desiccant packets, that's fine as well, but the reason I use the hand warmers is it's not exactly the same thing chemical wise and how it works, but as far as for results, it does the exact same thing. So I'll rip open the hand warmer thing, and I'll pull out the little hand warmer. And then what I like to do is, sometimes you know, you can put a couple in there, but you want to make sure, and especially if you've had them lying around for a bit, and I found some of these, and they were actually about a year overdue expiration date, but as long as it starts to warm up, which it is, and you can just kind of feel it in your hand, if it starts warming up, that means that it's oxidizing. Now how these things work is, basically what they do in the hand warmers is the different metals and whatever that's in there uses oxygen to oxidize and cause a reaction that produces heat. So that's why when it's in the package, it's not warm. That's why when it's out of the package, it gets warm. So what does that tell you? It needs oxygen to make that reaction. So you'll put it in there, and we'll get the Gamma Seal lid. You just wait for a second here. And what we'll do is once you put that in there, it's going to start sucking oxygen. And with these Gamma Seal lids, kind of push it down, move about 6 inches over, move about 6 inches over. And then you want to make sure that it's on there tight. You want to check. And I'm always just kind of overkill with it. So, just want to make sure this is in there. Kind of shove that down. And you're going to want to put on the lid. And you're going to want to make sure it's nice and tight. And what's going to happen now is that hand warmer is going to be sucking the oxygen out of this bucket. It's going to continue to suck oxygen as it comes in contact with it, causing that reaction. And what's going to happen is it's going to keep on getting warmer, and you don't have to worry about it burning or melting through anything, because since this is airtight, once you seal that up, there's not really any air, very little air left in it. That oxygen absorber will continue to cause that chemical reaction until it runs out of air. Once it runs out of air, it'll cool down and it'll just sit there. And you know, until you open it up again. And I've actually opened up ones after 2-3 years, and just to check on them and everything like that. Because what I do basically, before I get a little bit deeper into that, is I'll find these hand warmers in the springtime. What you do is you don't go in the fall or in the winter, unless you absolutely have to, and you're packing food buckets. But a lot of times what I like to do is, I like to get the buckets and do everything kind of in the spring, or I'll buy, a bunch of these in the springtime. And you wait until it's, guess what, getting warmer out. These things do not sell too well when it's warm out. So what they'll do, instead of being 99 cents each, you can get like 5 for 99 cents, or even more at Costco and places like that. You can tell I bought this before I knew what to do and everything like that, and was packing, because I got this for $1. And anyways, I bought these years back. So it'll just keep on sucking that air up until it runs out of air. Once it runs out of air, that's actually an airtight vacuum thing in there. And this is a food grade bucket, BPA free. You want to make sure that they're food grade buckets, and not just the regular buckets that you'll buy at the Home Depot, like those Homer buckets that are orange. The difference is, in the plastics, with something that you're using to haul water, or whatever you fill a bucket up with, whatever you're using it around the house, holding paint or whatever, it doesn't need to be extremely, for lack of a better word, tight in its bonds. So what happens is that even though it's plastic, there's an air exchange over time. There's air and gas exchange through the bucket, through the plastic. With a regular bucket, there's a lot of it. With a food grade bucket, there's little to none of that. Doesn't mean there's not still gaseous exchange. There still is, even though it's considered food tight, even though it's airtight, there's still somewhat of a gaseous exchange. That's why water bottles, even though they are of a good quality plastic, you won't have, if you stick them down in a musty old basement, it'll kind of, when you taste that water, it'll kind of taste musty. It's not bad, it's just taken on the same properties as the gases in the area. With the food grade buckets, what they do is they have very little to no gas exchange. So what that means is you can seal it up airtight. Depending on what you got in there, let's say for wheat, 30 years later, you can open it back up. It's just going to be, almost as good as the day that you put it in there. So you always want to make sure, if they don't have something on there that says food grade, you can look on the bottom of your buckets and you'll find the name of the manufacturer. And what I like to do is, even if they are food grade, and I did that with these, is I'll look at the name of the manufacturer. A lot of times they'll have a number on there to call them. And I'll actually call them and go, hey, I'm picking up this bucket for, for example, this one at Lowe's. I'm going to be buying this bucket. They'll ask you about the information here, the HDPE, what, numbers and all that kind of stuff. And you'll say, is this food grade, et cetera, and they'll say yes or no. And that's an easy way to tell if you're a little bit unsure. Instead of buying, these are about, Gamma Seal lids are about $6. I was buying these for about three something, the buckets themselves. So about all in all total, let's just call it $10. It's not bad. $10 plus probably about $35 I've got into this bucket. If I just, let's just say with rice or something like that. Chickpeas are a little bit more, especially with the soup mixes and stuff. But let's just call it with rice. I mean, really, it's $10 for the bucket, probably about $25 for a bag to fill it up. So for about $35, you've got enough food to feed your family for a long time. Now think of what it would cost you $35 at a restaurant. I'm not saying to don't go out or anything like that, but you can see how advantageous that is to have food storage. As well as another trick to do is you go to local bakeries. If you've got Fred Meyer's, Safeways, even Costco's, any place that has like an in-house bakery, other than like kind of like the more boutique bakeries, they may not be as willing to give these up, but you can go there, or even restaurants as well. You can go there and ask if they have any buckets. Most of those are going to be food grade. And what you can do is they'll give them to you for free. Go, you got any buckets in the back there? They'll go back. I've gotten from the 1.5 gallon to the 3.5. You got the 1.5 gallon to 3.5 gallons, the 5 to 6 gallon buckets. Just depends on what they had. They really won't have lids or anything like that, but you're saving $5 or whatever on the bucket. I would recommend calling the company that's listed on the bottom and asking them. You're going to want to wash those out thoroughly, especially if they held pickles. If they held pickles, scrub the crap out of them and bleach them, and then scrub the crap out of them and bleach them and let them sit for a long time to get that. Because last thing you're going to want, especially if your family don't like pickles, is to have pickle tasting rice. You really don't want that. So it's really easy. I mean, given that this is kind of one of the bread and butter things of prepping is long-term food storage, and it's really easy to do. You get a food grade bucket. Doesn't have to be Lowe's, just any food grade bucket. You don't have to get the Gamma Seal lids. The reason I like the Gamma Seal lids is because of this. Instead of having to go with one of those tools, the little bucket lid tools, and popping it up, all I have to do is, and it does get a little bit harder as it seals, but all I have to do is go like this. Yeah, I'll have to reseal it up, but I can go like that. I can take what I want back out of there. If I have some extra hand warmers or anything like that, then I'll stick them back in there. Or even if you don't have anything left, these will stay good for a while. If you're opening them up to use them, chances are you're not going to take a couple cups out and stick it back in there for 30 years when you're actually breaking these out. So I like it because I can open it up and then reseal it. These Gamma Seal lids, before I forget, kind of show you the inside of them. That seal right in there is what makes it airtight. But also these channels don't necessarily make it airtight, but they let less air into there, and that's really what does the trick. These fit on there, and if you've seen my video on how to take these off, these are not easy to take off. They're a real pain in the butt. But I really like the Gamma Seal lid system. It does about double the cost of your container as compared to using a regular seal lid, but I find them easier. Once they've been sealed up for a little while and they really start sucking the oxygen out of there with the absorbers or the hand warmer, they kind of get to be a little, they're not easy just to spin off. You kind of got to hold. You saw how I did it. But I think Gamma Seal lids are the best overall. You can get these in a variety of colors. I picked these up at Home Depot. They only came in black. You're going to want to label these as well so you know what you're grabbing, so you don't think you're grabbing rice and then you grab a pancake mix or something like that. But you can get these in a variety of colors like yellow, white, orange, green, I think red as well. There might be more colors. That can be very helpful for saying doing all your wheat in red, all your beans in say green. You get my drift. So it makes it a lot easier if you want to order those. You can order them off the internet, and you can find them for good prices if you watch them. But Home Depot is a pretty decent. The reason I always get them there is because, one, I don't have to pay for shipping. Two, I get a discount as being a veteran, and it works out pretty slick. So, anyways, this has been the Great Northern Prepper. I hope this helped you guys out a little bit. If you have any questions or comments or tips, you can help me out too if you know something that I didn't explain in here. And I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. You can find us on Facebook, obviously YouTube, as well as Twitter. Our main site is greatnorthernprepper.com. And I'm out.
I wore out my shoes in that wrong way to run. I blistered my skin working hard in the sun. Supper's almost over and I done cleaned my plate, and there's a light shining yonder, boys, I don't think I'll wait. I'm a laid back one and I've been one so long. I ain't perfect, you can tell by my songs. Brothers, forgive me for all of my wrongs. The good Lord, He's calling and it's time to go home. I hear Him calling and it's time to go home.